Zachary was asking what he should do with his nutrition while he is injured. He's asking what he should do with his protein and fat intake, and he is slightly concerned that he's over-consuming fat. So the main concern when you're injured is the fact that your overall energy expenditure, your energy burn per day, is going to be reduced to some extent. And this will probably depend on the severity of your injury, whether it's minor or major. In most cases, your energy expenditure will be reduced by around 500 to 750 calories on a normal injury. With a major injury, it might be up to around 1,000 calories, sometimes potentially more. So that's the first thing to keep in mind, because your energy expenditure has gone down, your calorie intake is going to have to come down to compensate for that reduction. So obviously your calorie intake is now going to be around about 500 to 750 calories less than it normally would. Now, after you've done this, you really want to track your body weight week to week, because your goal should be to maintain body weight while you're injured. If you're putting on body weight, you're going to be more susceptible to body fat gain, because your training is going to be less frequent, less intense. The same stimulus isn't going to be there, so you're going to risk body fat gain if you're putting on weight. On the other end of things, if you're losing body weight, you're likely going to risk losing lean body mass gain, such as muscle mass, because again your stimulus isn't there to support muscle mass retention. So main concerns is to reduce your calorie intake to compensate for the reduction in energy expenditure, and also to track your body weight to make sure that you're maintaining body weight over time, and then you can sort of adapt your calorie intake accordingly to make sure that you're maintaining weight. Now, the next concern is to make sure your protein intake remains high, possibly even higher than normal, but likely around the same. So I'd be aiming for around 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. So you said here you're 175 pounds, which means you're around about 80 kilograms, which will come to 160 grams of protein as a minimum per day. Whilst you're injured, an emerging area within sports science is something called anabolic resistance, which basically means that the injured muscle is going to be less sensitive to any given amount of protein, so the anabolic response to protein is going to go down in the injured muscle. And to avoid losing muscle mass in the injured muscle, we want to obviously be compensating for that and countering that with a high protein intake. So in your case, that will be 160 grams of protein per day. Now, whether you're over-consuming fat, like you said, is going to be dependent on whether you're gaining body weight at the minute. If you are gaining body weight, then it may be the case that you are over-consuming fat. And if you're not gaining body weight, then you're probably not over-consuming fat. Usually when people are injured, the reduction in calories is going to come mainly from carbohydrates as opposed to fat. But that's less of a concern. That's really up to you whether you want to drop the fat or the carbohydrate intake. As long as the protein intake stays high, that's going to be the main concern. The last thing I'll touch on is potential supplement you can incorporate into your supplement protocol. It is optional and it's not a guaranteed benefit, but it is a potential benefit, and it's used in elite sport, and that's going to be either hydrolyzed collagen supplementation or gelatin supplementation. Really, the science on it is shaky, to say the least, but some athletes do seem to get a really good benefit from it for whatever reason it might be. Basically, when you consume collagen, you increase the circulating amount of collagen peptides in your blood, and that can increase collagen synthesis. Collagen being a really critical component of cartilage tissue. And usually when you're injured, you might get some amount of damage to your cartilage, and it requires repair. So that's something to potentially look into, but really keeping those main nutritional recommendations, making sure that you hit those, you're likely going to be spot on with your nutrition there. If you have any more questions, be sure to drop them below. That should have covered everything. But if not, I'll speak to you soon. So keep well, guys. See you later.